coming to this additional training session. So we're going to take a look at the salary information that I would like you to look at in kind of reviewing the effort reports. We'll talk about direct retros and salary cost transfers, and how they impact effort reports and what happens when they occur. We'll dive into a little bit follow-up actions and recertifications, and talk about what to do if we need to change information or change permissions within the ECERT system. So. And just want to verify you guys are seeing my screen. Guidelines and internal controls.
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. So not going to really dive into this one other than this. It's a federal obligation that we do effort reporting. If you're really curious, you can go look at this, but I don't want to spend our time on that. Effort and effort reports, they're required for all personnel that are paid directly from sponsored projects funded by federal sources. This includes private or state sources that have federal flow-throughs to them. So anything that originated as a federal source, we need to do effort reporting for all salary costs. The exceptions are pre- and postdoctoral personnel supported on fellowships or paid consultants. So we should not see them coming through. So who certifies the effort reports? PIs basically have to certify their own effort reports. For other personnel besides PIs, they can be certified. Anybody with firsthand knowledge of the work that was performed on the award. So typically in most departments, the PIs end up certifying for all people that are under their jurisdiction, but it can be somebody else who has knowledge of the work that was performed on the awards. So this is really important here. I get this question a lot. How do we verify that that the effort is right on the effort report form? Well, the effort certification, it's a subjective acknowledgement that the effort was performed on the award. So there's no place you can go that says in any system that this work was done. It has to be by somebody who knows that an effort was expended on a project and that work was performed. So trying to say, oh, I need to verify this percentage against something in the system is not really a valid perspective. That being said, though, salary charges are used as a basis to support the understanding of effort on an award. So typically, your salary should reflect the efforts that they're putting out. It should be the minimum percentage of an effort on an award. So, for instance, if somebody, if we're paying them 30% on an award, they may have worked more on it. That's fine. But if they worked less than what they're being paid for from that award, then adjustments are going to need to be made. But the real thing to kind of understand here is that it's a subjective acknowledgement of effort on an award. So typically it's a PI or supervisor who has firsthand knowledge of the effort that was done on the award. So effort certifications, again, are to provide reasonable assurance that payroll charges are accurate. In other words, that there's a direct benefit of the effort to the project that paid the expenses, that they're allowable by uniform guidance or federal regulations. One of the key things here that helps us out is that we just want to make sure that's reasonable. So per UC guidelines, we certify effort within plus or minus 5% of the effort stated on the effort report form. So for example, if we have an award that an employee worked on and the effort report says 10% effort on that award, if the effort was between 5 and 15%, then we should be comfortable that we can go ahead and certify that effort percentage is appropriate on that award. So we have a little bit of leeway there. We don't have to be exact. If there are adjustments that are done in the future, as long as it doesn't go above or below the plus or minus 5%, no recertification is necessary. Don't need to worry about that. Another thing to keep in mind is, when we're looking at effort on these effort report forms, it will always total, should always total 100%. In fact, it won't let you certify if it doesn't total 100%. So for example, let's say we have an employee who worked only 1 month in our 6-month reporting period, 20 hours in that month. We just want to know what the effort was for those 20 hours during that 1 month that they worked. So we're not looking at FTEs, we're looking at just total 100% of the effort that was performed during that reporting period. And just kind of mentioned, we're looking at 2 effort report forms per year. And the first one is always July through December of the first of that fiscal year, and then January through June is the second reporting period of the fiscal year. So, and one thing I want to kind of, make sure that people understand is that we do not certify an effort report that is believed to be an error. So if you think there are errors on it, don't certify it just saying so we can meet the deadline. Let's not certify it, and let's follow up and do what we need to do to get it to where we feel that it is accurate. If we find that there are errors after the fact, then we can go ahead and reopen a report and recertify that, but we really hope that that's minimal, that should occur, but it does happen, and we can do that. So we're not asking people, hey, you got to certify by the deadline, so just certify it and we'll fix it later. Don't certify it and we'll fix it, as soon as we can, and then we will certify it. So just kind of keep that in mind kind of as we go forward. So let's take a look at ECERT now, and kind of go through the effort report form, but more importantly, it's kind of the salary detail. So, it should be showing a blink page now. This is just to kind of get us there. Type in ECERT, type in effort, type in whatever you need to do, and that will get you to our blink page. On the blink page, there's several areas where you can log into ECERT. And this is what pops up when you log into ECERT here. I know many of you have already gotten this far. So want to take a look at searching reports and managing searches. In the search report section, it's a good way to pull up individual reports. In the manage searches section is a good way to see PI reports. So let's kind of just take a quick look at that. When we click on search reports, we're already there. So you can put in an employee name, you could put in employee ID. That's a good way to kind of just pull them up and get them going there. Sometimes you'll see a person listed twice. And why that is because we have the new employee IDs and the old employee IDs. So the old employee IDs relate to, you'll see that with leading zeros. And those are for fiscal years 20 and prior, and we're not really worried about those. And again, the first section of effort report forms that we're trying to get completed here are for fiscal year 21. So it'll always start with a 1, usually a 103 or a 104. You bring them over, you do the report, and you can pull one up and you can kind of see what's going on here. So and then the other way to kind of pulling up reports or trying to identify, let's say you want a group of reports, and you want to actually let's stick with search reports here real quick. So the other way you can kind of look at reports and pull them up is if you want to pull up all the reports for your department, you can go to this departments tab. You can type in for instance, we have psychiatry here. You can just type in the first part of the word. It'll give you some options here to pick up. You can choose that and click view. There we go. and it'll bring up all the reports. It'll bring up actually all the old ones. You can do select just specific periods. So we could go to July 21, and then that'll just bring up those for that department for that particular period. The other thing you can do is if you want to look up for a particular project, and you have the project number, you can just come in here and type it, and that will pull up all people on a particular project as well. So there are different ways to kind of search in the search reports area. Then there's the section of managed searches. If you have a particular PI that you're wanting to pull up all of their effort report forms, you can click on this tab here. You can subscribe. Click on the subscribe tab. You can type in somebody's name. So for instance, we could go with this one here, hit subscribe. No, that one's not valid. Let's try that one. All right. So I just subscribed to this person here and Kenneth Smith. So now I can pull up and there are no reports for this person, but if I picked a PI who had staff that are working on awards, they would show up populated right here after picking on that. And then you can always go back to it'll set up with my projects, whatever a particular person is. So for instance, look that one for Dr. Aaron's, we can see that there are 117 total reports for those periods. If we wanted to look at just a particular period, fiscal year 23, January through June, we just have those reports and you can see what's going on with them there. So there are various ways to search reports, and then also to manage your searches through PIs. So that's something that we can work through there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the effort report form. Just kind of, we're going to look at three things here: reviewing the form, making changes, and looking at the payroll details and what you need to be concerned with there. So let's go here. Let's just pick this one here. So this is your effort reporting form. I know many of you probably have already seen it, maybe you worked with it already. The important parts of it are, you have the person's name up here, their employee ID. You have the edit report, the report information, which is broken out into between three different sections here. We have our sponsored projects, which is really our federal projects should be. We have other sponsored projects that would be non-federal sponsored projects, and then our non-sponsored activities. For the sponsored projects section, you should have the individual projects that they've been charged to. You'll see the original payroll percentages, which are the amounts that are currently in UC Path. You'll have this adjusted column here, which should just equal initially what you have here. Cost sharing requirements, you can make those changes there, but key here, totaling 100%. If you need to make changes, you can just kind of go in and type in, changes that you would need here. It would update calculation, and you can see those changes back there, but let's go back to revert. Don't want to do those changes. So you can make adjustments to the payrolls here that you need to. Just kind of a note, and I think I'll talk about this a little bit later on, but if you do make adjustments here and you need to make a direct retro or salary cost transfer, the system will not initiate that. You'll need to go ahead and do that online afterwards. So you can go ahead and you can actually make the effort reports reflect what the actual amount of effort is, even if it's not set up that way in UC Path yet. So, you know, you can go ahead and do that. You can make the changes here, and then you can actually do the certification, and you're done with it. And then you shouldn't need to come back unless there are or changes in the future that are different than what you've reflected here on the effort report form. If you need to see an additional sponsored project, then you can add those as well. You know, you can pull up this list here. You can type in a project ID, or you know, if you have keywords that you know of, you can put that in there. You can filter it, and you can pull those in, and you can add those to the report. If you need to, if you want to get rid of a sponsored project, you can't really do that for the ones that are already pre-populated, but you can make them 0. So you just update your calculations. If you make changes in the report, it'll ask you for comments, and then you should be able to do the certification process. Jordan, are there any questions that you think I should address right now?
Yeah, thanks for giving my fingers a break here. We had a few good ones. I want to start with Irene. She had asked, what is the update on direct retros on biweekly employees moving salary but not effort since 2020? Our ECERTs with biweekly direct retros are not correct without manual updating.
But I'll get to that. We got an issues list coming up, and I will get to that here shortly. So if you just bear with me for a moment on that, and then we'll get there. All right, so we've kind of addressed making changes. We've gone through kind of looking at the form.
Maybe could we go over the multi-signature, that little radio on the 2 radio buttons that are in the report options?
So if you have an employee who is 2 things actually. So all PIs must again certify for themselves. So even if they've worked on a different PI's award, they'll need to do the certification for all their effort. But if you have an employee who's worked on different awards for different PIs, and we need different people to certify the effort on each award, what you need to do is click on a report and say multiple certification required. That'll add us a different line here. So like this PI can come in and just click on this and certify that effort report percentage, and then somebody else can come in and certify on the other additional people. So that's how you do the multiple certifications. And then, you know, if you find out you don't really need that, you can unclick it, and it'll kind of revert back to where you started. Anything else, Jordan? Yeah. So let's talk about the payroll details. So what payroll information should you be looking at? The ECERT system is populated directly with what's in UCPAD. So really all the payroll details that you should need, or you should be looking at, really come from this button right down here. Is called View Payroll Details. I'm not going to click on that for this one because I don't want to share somebody's payroll information, but I do have an example here that I'll show of somebody that we kind of pulled out but redacted their names. And what this payroll detail looks like, this is basically got all the sections here. They'll have a section of all the different sponsored projects. Each sponsored project will be separate. Your other non-sponsored projects will be in this section, and then all your non-sponsored activities will be in this section here. So and for each of those FAUs, you will have detailed information by pay period. So for instance, here's July 31, 22. These were all the pay lines that were associated with that person for that month. And then for August, you know, we have that one pay line there as well. And then they didn't have any additional pay lines for the remainder of the year. So everything that you need to look at should be here. You'll have the detail of what the project is, project number. You have various sorted data elements sorted with each one of these. If you just, you know, hover over The title here, it'll tell you what the possible values are: holiday, sick leave, vacation, regular earnings. Restate trans column will be, if you see it in there, that means it was just regular entries from the payroll cycle. If you see a yes, a Y, or an R, it means that there's direct retro or a change was made. But so there's various key things that you can look at here, and maybe I'll just kind of talk about one of the particular problems that we currently have with biweekly payroll people that are on direct retros, that have direct retros. So we do have one big issue with effort reporting forms that are not showing up correctly. This happens if we have biweekly people and they've had direct retros. What happens here is that you're going to see in this derived effort column here, percentage, it's going to be 0. This column should actually equal a weighted effort column right here. If you're seeing zeros here, that means that there's an error on the effort report form, and I'm going to tell you to not certify those yet. I'm hopeful that we'll have a fix this week or early next week. But irrespective of that, I would just go ahead and hold off on those particular ones. And the way you can tell if that is a problem is when you look at the earnings here, if you see zeros in the derived effort column and it doesn't equal what's in the weighted effort column, then those we need to hold off on. But for this example, this person, that looks fine. So it means that we don't have that issue. We should be good to go. The other thing, when looking at these, the payroll detail, if you see something in unrecognized earnings, then that means that we have another issue that we need to address with UCOP. We have corrected all of them in fiscal year 21, except for a handful which have some other issues associated with them. So hopefully, if you have any unrecognized earnings in fiscal year 21, we still need to correct those reports. You wouldn't be able to certify them anyway. And you could send us a ticket to let us know. I would say if you see it in 21, you don't need to send us a ticket. We're already working on them. If you see them in 22 or 23, those are something that we're working to correct in the near future here. And if you're trying to get them all done at once, send us a ticket and we'll make sure we get those taken care of right away. It takes a day or two to get those fixed. And then, the other thing you may see is excluded earnings. So oftentimes, if you have over the cap people, you'll see that they'll have pay here that has been excluded. But in this case, it was termination pay. That's why we see something there for this person. So when you're looking at salary information, this is really the source that you need to look at and see if this is what you're expecting, or do you need changes that need to be made to what you're seeing here. So this would be where I would say to go look and compare based on the knowledge that you have on an award. Didn't mean to do that, but all right, so let's move on to the next one. So when you're looking at the salary information, we navigated to the view direct the payroll details. Considerations of when you look at it is, are there any default account adjustments that need to be made? So if you have charges in the default account that need to be moved to an award on this person, then those are adjustments that you would want to reflect here. You'd either need to make it a change in the adjustment column or wait till your direct retros are processed. If you have pending direct retros, are you seeing them correctly in the payroll details? And the other thing you need to take into consideration is the expected effort in the award. So an award may have that we expect this person to work 25% of their time on a project. That's something that you'd want to, just to make sure, if you're aware of that we're seeing that. if that's an issue, it's not really an ECERT issue. It's a performance issue on the award and would need to be addressed otherwise. So look at the salary information. Do we have all of our direct retros that we need there? Do we have costs in the default account that should be moved? Are we seeing what we expect to see on the award? Based on your level of experience or time here, you may have a lot of information or not a whole lot, but your goal is to try and get it as accurate as possible for the PI to review, or for whoever's going to do the certification to review and make the final consideration as to whether to certify or not. So one note on the default account: if you have costs that are sitting in the default account, and let's say you have a cost that was originally charged, the salaries were charged on an award for an employee, and it goes through UCPath, that actual account that those costs, but then subsequently those get pushed to the default account. What you're going to see on the effort report form is you're going to see actually where those costs were charged in UCPath. They may be sitting in a default account, but in the UCPath, they're currently sitting in where they were originally charged. So if you have a charge sitting in the default account that should be moved to a different award, then you would need to adjust that on the effort report form. Or if you have a charge that's sitting in default but needs to stay on that award, then the correct percentage would be on the effort report form. So you can either make the adjustment on the effort report form, or once the DR, if you're processing a DR to move the charges to a different place, that will be corrected once the DR is submitted through UCPath. So just kind of a note on how that works. All right, so current effort reporting issues, and we talked about this. I know this is Iris's question. DRs for biweekly employees may show incorrect effort. If you're seeing that derived effort percentage as 0, then that's a problem. We're currently testing a fix on this, and hope to have that by early next week. In the meantime, I would not go ahead and try and get those certified. So you may also come across some non-federal sponsored awards that are showing up as certification required. Those should all be corrected by the end of this week. Irrespective, I mean, you can, the percentages of effort that are associated with any non-federal sponsored award, whether they're in the sponsored section or the other section, those percentages should be correct. I mean, you can go ahead and do the certification and be done with that. If the sole effort that is showing up is really non-federal in the federal section, then that'll go away here by the end of the week, and those effort reports should show up as not needing certification for those people, so we worry about those. Another thing to keep in mind is if you have salary cost transfers that were processed through OFC but not through UCPath, those aren't going to show up in UCPath, and they're not going to show up in your DOPE reports. So hopefully those are very minimal, but if you're aware of something like that, then there's potentially an adjustment that would need to be made on the effort report form to reflect those, but hopefully you should not be coming across those at all. Jordan, anything else you'd like me to address right now?
Sorry, I'm just typing away over here. Let's see. I'm hoping I answered your question right, David. He asked, does ECERTs follow FE, or DRs or changes are made after the fact? I know we had that message from Destin. I know we had that message from Carrie about that 5% threshold. So if you certify before a DR takes place, and so long as that when UCPath is loaded up again, as long as it's still within that 5% variance after the DR took place, it shouldn't require a revision, but if it's outside of that 5% threshold, it requires a revision to take place. It has like a new status, basically. Maybe that question makes a little bit more sense to you, but that was how I understood it.
So maybe the next two slides will kind of clarify all this.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, Dustin. It looks like I got clarification. So he's asking funding entry is what the FE was.
I guess I'm confused by what you mean by funding entry.
David, would you maybe speak a little bit more to your question?
Sorry, I suspect that can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I suspect that the original ECERTs are driven by funding entries, since DRs are done after the fact. So so if there is a change that's needed later, does it follow the funding entry, the FE, or does it follow the direct retro, the DR?
Okay.
Because I would think that it would follow the funding entry, but you keep on mentioning DRs, so I was just a bit confused.
So unless there are any direct retros or salary cost transfers, it follows the funding entries, the labor distribution, and once we do have a direct retro or salary cost transfer, then ECERT is updated to reflect that. So actually on my next slide here, direct retros and salary cost transfers are reflected in ECERT within 2 days after a payroll has been run. So if we say processed a direct retro this month and the deadline for payroll actually maybe today, I think, but and we've processed a direct retro before today, that will show up once payroll is run the first or the end of this month. So within 2 days after the payroll has been run, so i.e. November 2nd or 3rd, however that falls, you should definitely see the direct retros being applied in ECERT. So and that would be for the monthly people. For the bi-weekly people, again, that should show up 2 days after payroll has been run. So you'll typically see updates of direct retros associated with those people. It'll be updated twice a month as well. So that's how you should see those. So other notes about direct retros, salary cost transfers. Adjustments to effort reports do not generate a direct retro. So you can go ahead and you can adjust and update the effort report in ECERT and certify it and be done with it. But if you need to make a change in the salary distribution, you need to go ahead and do those direct retros after the fact. And assuming that those come in, within the plus or minus 5% of what you certified in your adjustments, it won't require a recertification. Everything should be just fine. So again, that's the final point there. Recertification of an effort report will not be required if a direct retro has subsequently been processed to reflect the effort reporting adjustments. So follow-up actions and recertifications. Direct retros or salary cost transfers that are not reflected in certified effort reports will cause an effort report to reopen for recertification if the change is greater than plus or minus 5%. So even if we did a direct retro after the fact, as long as we don't change that percentage by more than plus or minus 5%, the certification will stand. If for some reason you realize that certification was not correct, we can a request can be made to us and we can reopen that and do the recertification. Hopefully those are minimal, because those are an audit red flag to the auditors, and we try and avoid those as much as possible. So again, effort reports that are adjusted to correct percentages of ECERT will not require a recertification based on correcting salary adjustments. So. So let's talk a little bit about the information and permission changes. PI effort reports may not show up in ECERT until the PI has logged in an initial time. This is because due to new security validation rules in our systems, it does not generate that access until that has been done. So if you're not seeing effort reports that you're expecting to, feel free to send us a snow ticket. We'll research the issue, but oftentimes with a PI, just asking them to log in the first time will fix that problem. Again, it's been 3 years since we've gone through the certification process. So there may be various fund managers or people who don't have the correct access to effort reports. Please send us a ticket and we'll get that corrected ASAP. We're also seeing issues where we have a PI. So for PIs, when you see an effort report form, you will see their name and information up here in yellow, but we don't see this one in yellow, so that means that they're not listed as a PI. So if we're seeing somebody that's being shown as a PI, but they're not a PI, which we've had numerous instances of that, we can just let us know and we'll make the change, and vice versa. If we have a PI that's not indicated as a PI, we can fix that as well. So please just send us a ticket on that. So we are seeing that quite often. And then given the time frame that we're talking about here, we have several PIs that have left the university or people who have left the university. But in particular for PIs, if they've separated from the university, send us a snow ticket and we'll enable their form to be certified by somebody else, typically a DBO or MSO, but whoever would be comfortable doing that within the department. So we can get that taken care of as well. All right, so the dreaded question of certification deadline. For fiscal years 21, for fiscal year 23, we're looking at April 31st. For fiscal year 22, we're looking at December 22nd. For fiscal year 21, we're asking October 31st. So I know this is causing a lot of people stress, and a lot of people are pushing, trying to get this going. I don't believe we're going to change this date, but what I'm going to say is that let's just do the best we can to get effort reports certified that we can. For the instances where we have some errors that need to be corrected, we have the derived effort equaling 0 for those forms that aren't correct. Hold off on those until we can get them fixed. I know that it's impossible for us to meet this deadline for everybody. And so I'm just asking for you to do the best we can to get as many as we can in by October 31st, and then we'll just keep pressing after that. So we're not going to change the official due date, but really just kind of looking for cooperation and help and trying to get as many done as we can. And for those that we still have issues with and need to do some further work on, we'll get to those as quick as we can as well. So that's what we're looking at. So would appreciate everybody's help as much as possible along those lines. All right. We do have this information session will go up online shortly after we get done here. We do have a lot of helpful guides. We have a PI video that's 9 minutes long, I believe, or maybe it's 11 minutes long for the PIs to take a look at for the certification process. We have office hours every week from 2:30 to 3:30, where I'll sit there with you and we'll go look at specific report forms, specific issues, and try and fix them on the spot. I'm willing to do one-on-one sessions with anybody that would like to do that, and I'll sit down and we'll look at your specifics, and I'll help you as long as best I can and get you going. Just feel free to reach out for that as well. I know this is a big ask of people. It's been a while since we've been able to get going on this, but we just need to do our best to get caught up and get back on the regular cycle. You know, I think the future, we're going to be on the ECERT system here probably for another year or two. And then we may hopefully have a new and better system coming online after that. A better way to process this requirement. So, all right, Jordan, do we have any other outstanding questions, or does anybody else want to just kind of say hello?
Yeah, I'll go over one that I think that Haley, I'm sure this is probably fairly common amongst other fund managers, but she's saying that, or they're saying that they have a PI that flat out refuses to certify effort for fiscal years 21 through 2022. Will only certify for fiscal year 23. It's asking for some guidance on what to do. What are your thoughts on that, Dustin?
Please just send me the send me a snow ticket, you know, with those comments, and we'll address those offline. You know, figure out what we need to do to get the PI comfortable with that, and we'll handle those, you know, individually as they come up. So, I mean, I do understand, you know, the concern and the issues around that. So we'll just do the best we can to kind of work towards seeing if we can, you know, get to a common ground where we can help everybody through that process if they're struggling with those concerns.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify what I think is a common question with some of the things that are being asked in the chat. When I'm referring to like ECERT coordinator, it's actually a user role that we assign you so that when you subscribe to a PI, it allows you access to view the reporting periods. So that would require for you to submit a snow ticket. It's not like an individual coordinator that works with individual departments or anything like that. It's more of a user access role that we assign you, so that when you are logged into the EMS system, that you're able to view all that information. I'm just kind of going through some more here. I think our website's it should be pretty helpful for answering, I think, some more of these one-off questions. I know one of the ones with how we certify up, like what goes into like the calculation of ECERT, and I think I answered that another question as well. But there's a myriad of things. I know it's full-time employment. It's also the employment type. So whether that's like an actual 12-month calendar year or if it's a 9-month assignment, all of those things kind of go into it, and it's like a multiplication factor of the amount of hours that were within that reporting period, and then the amount of income earned within that reporting period as well. It's kind of divided by that amount, and that's how you get like the percentage piece there. Kind of going through these quick. If you're seeing any errors or anything like that, if there's something maybe we didn't cover, I would say just submit a snow ticket just to be safe. I think, Dustin, you covered this pretty good, but if there's like an exception or anything like that in any of the reporting periods that you want to certify, that might be a snow ticket, because a lot of what we're seeing is these the excluded earnings, and I think that's something I think that's more back-end system stuff. But there are probably some action items that we need to take on our end. I think we can I think that answers just about everything. At least everything that I've seen in the chat. I'm hoping I didn't skip anyone. Did anyone else have any questions?
I just want to kind of go back to the payroll information here, and you kind of touched on it. I mean, it goes through a mathematical calculation based on hours and earnings, and if we were looking at a typical 6-month pay period for a person, we would see that it'll calculate a weighted effort for your particular projects, and it'll divide that by total. What they kind of come up with is a monthly calculation for this person. If this person looks like they worked about like a little over a month and a half before they had terminated, that's why we see a 1.3 number here. Typically, you're going to see this number being 6 for most people. So it's going to take the total weighted effort divided by amount of months that they worked, and That's typically what you'll see in a calculation, but it'll vary depending on some of the factors, you just kind of mentioned there, Jordan, as well. Unless I hear anything else, I appreciate you coming back to the session. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to sit down with you individually. Please come to our office hours, which actually start in 9 minutes. And just asking that we do the best we can to try and get as many done as we can by the end of the month. But for those that we're not able to get there, we will continue on and do the best we can to get them certified as quickly as possible. So, thank you.